Thanks for checking out another clip of the Cashflow Contractor. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. Click subscribe wherever you get your podcast. So what is the worry curve? Can you explain that to us? I think we all probably know what it is, but define it for us so that it can resonate with us a bit more.
Yeah, sure. So basically the idea is you have you have your X and your Y axis. And on one axis you have worry, and on the other axis you have time, right? And let's say there's two scenarios here to planning projects. The first scenario is probably the one most people are familiar with, where you get called into a meeting and when you walked into that room, you already have 5 projects you're actively working on. Some are just starting, some are in the middle, and some are going to hopefully be closing out soon. But you walk into that meeting with 5 projects on your plate. And the business unit vice president or the senior vice president or the owner of the company gets up there and talks about this new project, how important it is to the company we get it done on time. And you guys all know your jobs. I have ultimate faith in you. I want to see some real teamwork on this one and go make it happen. And there's no plan. There's no plan to get a plan. All you know when you leave that room is you're on the project and you've been told you got a year to do it. So my question to you is, what do you think the level of worry is like for the average person when they leave that room? Where on that worry line would they be on day 0, day 1, having walked into the room with 5 projects, walking out with number 6? How worried do you think they are about project number 6? Do you think it's low, medium, or high?
I could answer that 2 ways, and I don't know which one it's going to be, but I could also say, I could say it's low because it doesn't exist in my mind yet. I've got a year. And by the way, I've got a phone call I got to take about my project that's current.
That is exactly the answer. There are some people that sound super worried about it, and I get that because that means you're experienced. But the average person walks out of that room and they're saying, I know 2 things. I'm on the project and I got 52 weeks. I got 12 months to get it done. I feel really good about my abilities. We create life in 10 months. I'm sure I could do a project in 12. Right? I used to say I create life in 9 months, and my wife used to have 2 kids, said, no, it's not 9. It's closer to 10. So now I say, okay, we create life in 10 months. You're the expert, right? So pretty sure I could do a project in 12. And what you said it perfectly, because my focus is on the other 5 projects that I've been getting beat up about for weeks. For those projects, I got stuff to do tomorrow and Friday and Tuesday of next week. And so my focus is there. And I'm not really worried about this other thing, because right now it's this great nebulous cloud of something I got to get done over the next 12 months. And I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get it done. So the level of worry isn't 0. I mean, you're a little bit worried about it, but it starts off fairly low. And we find that it's that level of worry starts off low and stays low for about the first half of the project. And we call that first phase uninformed optimism. I don't know enough to be scared. I don't know enough about the project yet. I don't know what task I have on it. I don't know when things are going to be done. All I know is I'm on the team and I got 12 months to get it done. All right. So that's the first phase, uninformed optimism. And then what happens is, as you move through to now, let's say we're 6. Oh, by the way, let me ask you this. If you have a 52-week project and there's no plan for that project, how much work actually gets done in the first 6 weeks?
None. Well, this reminds me of the tyranny of the urgent, of just like, you're going to focus on what's urgent, not on what's necessarily important.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So you're basically like, oh, well, these projects launch in 2 weeks. Like, that's my focus, not the one that's launching in, 52
12
weeks.
months. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then the problem is, since no work happened in the first 6 weeks, you now have a 46-week project. It was going to be difficult to do it at 52. Now it's going to be super hard to get it done in 46. So about halfway through the project, your level of worry begins to rise. While you were super confident you could do it in 12 months, you're not as sure you can get it done in 6 months. And you got this really bad feeling that, man, there's some work I should have been doing, and I haven't done it yet. Your stomach starts to get tied up in knots when you think about the project. It's a Malox, how many bottles of Malox you're going to have to go through, right? You see your team members walking down the hallway and you hope they don't bring the project up. And if they do bring it up, what you secretly hope is they also aren't working on it, because you haven't been working on it. And everybody knows it's okay to be late as long as somebody else is more late. You just don't want to be the most late. Right. You want somebody else to take that heat, right? So the level of worry begins.
It's like the bear analogy of like, I don't have to be faster than the bear, I have to be faster than you.
Exactly.
Attacking us.
Exactly. Oh. Yes. So the level of worry begins to rise. And we call this phase vague concern. The concern is vague because I feel like I'm not in a good place. My stomach is telling me I'm not, my gut tells me I'm not good. My spidey sense is tingling, telling me that things are not going well. But because I have no plan to measure it against, I'm not sure I'm late, but boy, I just don't feel good about this at this point. And that's the vague concern phase. So once the vague concern is passed, we move into the third and final phase of the project, which everybody knows is called what? What do you think it is?
Panic.
What's the last phase of the project? Panic, exactly.
Shit
Panic
at the fan.
phase. Yeah, that stuff too, exactly. So panic sets in. And then, of course, if you think about panic, what almost always happens is when you're in the panic mode, you probably miss your deadline. You probably are going to be late. And, of course, what happens to costs in the panic mode of a project? They go up because you start throwing money at your problems to get them to go away. I mean, I've seen projects where we had to air freight concrete block to a construction site, which is that's not the recommended shipping method. That stuff should go on a truck. But what happened was it was a special brick needed for the facade of a hotel. It didn't get ordered with the standard package. And by the time they realized it wasn't ordered, the only way to get it there in time to open the hotel was to air freight. And the cost of air freight was incredibly expensive, but it was still less than the opportunity cost of not opening the hotel on time.
Right.
So what would be better is to do a better job of planning up front so that you don't miss the deadline and you can just regularly ship. Right. So anybody listening to this podcast going, well, I'm never going to have to rent a plane. Really? So you've never sent something via FedEx or UPS? You've rented part of a plane. You didn't rent the whole plane, but you rented part of a plane. That could have gone by regular mail, a lot less money, but you had to ship it through FedEx to meet a deadline. So everybody falls into this category, maybe not to the extreme of that.
I think the easiest one is just overtime for people. Paying overtime is what you're doing in phase 3, and you're wasting a lot of money.
You are. It's very expensive.
Well, and the other one, mistakes. I mean, having to ship by air is a mistake.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Get wrong parts or wrong piece, or we can get everything except that last screw. And I remember during COVID, faucet manufacturers didn't have some little washer that you needed in a faucet. And so all these granite guys that we know couldn't finish their jobs because they couldn't put the faucet in because of a 1/100th of 1 cent white piece of plastic. I mean, anyway.
Yeah. I've seen projects where they had, cost savings and they went to a different country to get it. And the samples that they vetted were perfect, but the product that actually came in wasn't.
Right.
And so that supply chain person was able to get a cost savings of, $10 million over the life of the product, but then it cost them $20 million in warranty repair cost. So,
oh my gosh,
it doesn't always pay off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the panic phase is, of course, expensive financially, but it's also what happens to quality in the panic phase is it suffers because you start cutting corners to get it out the door, right? It's like, well, this will have to do. I know we said before we rolled out that new ERP system, we would have a full colored video for our training program. But now we don't have time for that. We're going to have to go with just black and white photocopies of the old manual marked up. That's all we got time to do. So you start cutting corners, so your quality suffers. So nothing good happens in the panic phase, nothing. So once you're done, think about you're in the panic phase and you're probably working 80 hours a week at this point to get you. By the way, if you had 6 projects on your plate, you're probably spending 100+% on this project now. And the other 5, they're getting delayed. So bad things are happening, right?
Yeah.
So you're working 80 hours a week on this project and you're cutting corners to get it out the door. And so you can't even take pride in your work product. You're like, this is crazy. So you end up losing really talented people in the panic phase of the project because they go, I'm killing myself and I'm not even proud of what I'm doing. There's got to be places you don't do it this way. I'm going to go work for one of them. And so you lose really talented people. The other thing that can happen is you can get reputations that attach to you that are not your fault. For instance, what ends up happening, and we'll talk more about this when we talk about the critical path, but if you have a 52-week project, what ends up happening is those people in the first few weeks, they think we have plenty of time. So if I'm late, it won't matter because there's still 51 weeks left. But you know who doesn't get to say that? That group at the back end, the group that's right before go live or launch or, certificate of occupancy. Those guys, that team, they get hammered. They get stuff delivered to them late. Let's say it comes into you 6 weeks late, Khalil, and you stay up nights and weekends, and you and your team, and you do Herculean efforts. You deliver it 3 weeks late. It came to you 6 weeks late. You get out the door 3 weeks late. Are you applauded for having made up 3 weeks of lateness? Or are you only remembered for being 3 weeks late?
Only remembered for 3 weeks late.
So now you got this reputation of, oh, Khalil's on your project, he's always late. Like, no. Yeah. You should be patting me on the back. I made up 50% of the lateness. And so nothing good happens in the planning phase of the project.
Thanks for checking out a clip from the Cashflow Contractor. We have full episodes where we go deep on topics that help you grow a construction business that runs without you, so you can have less stress, more time, more money. Now, we've got other videos, other clips, but if you want to check out the full episode for this clip, you can click wherever our editor put it. It might be here, it might be there, it might be over my face, I don't know. But thank you for checking us out. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. So subscribe or check out a full episode wherever you get podcasts.